Hey there, I'm Andre, and in this video I will show you how to use ClickUp to run your business. Now, this works whether you are a solopreneur or you have a huge team, because if you are tired of jumping between 5 to 10 different tools to manage your clients, finance, marketing, your team, projects, and everything else in between, then this will probably help you out. Okay, as soon as you enter ClickUp's website, this is what you're going to see. All you need to do is click on Get Started, it's free. So once you do it, they're going to ask you for your email. You're going to put your email. I'm just going to put a random one. And then you are going to click Next, and they are going to ask you for your name and your password. So you just type your name, put the password you want to use, and then you're going to click on Play with ClickUp. And once you do it, you're going to see the screen that's going to appear next. This is what you're going to see once you do that registration. They're going to say, what will you use this workspace for? You can put work. And then this, to be honest, is not going to be that important. So you can select anything, like what would you like to manage. I'm just going to put sales and CRM. They're going to pass you directly to the other part. Then you can invite people to the workspace. So this is where you're going to invite your team. I suggest you not do it right now because, well, it's up to you. If it's just you and another person, maybe a co-founder, and both of you want to work on this, then go for it. Invite them here. If not, I would suggest you first take care of setting up everything exactly as you wish, and only then you invite your team members to the workspace, which I can show you after where to do it. So for now, we click I'm done. Then they have this part to ask you if you use any of these tools, and what's going to do is they're going to prompt you after to basically import data from the tools that you have selected. So if you want, choose these tools if you want to import some of this data. If not, just click Next. And then these features are basically features inside ClickUp that I'm going to go over, and you don't need to select because these will just be available for you, all of them. Click Next, and then you give a final name to the workspace. So here it's basically you can give your company name. I'm going to just say YouTube video, and you click Finish. Once you do it, they're going to set up everything, and you're going to have a base layer to start working on. So as you can see, now they start creating here a space with a list, and I'm going to go over everything, what all of this means. But you're going to start seeing something like this set up for you. Maybe if you select other options from the form, the previous form, you would see more things here. Now, I'm going to go over, before showing you here how to navigate in ClickUp, after you set up everything, you will notice that there is like these spaces here. And ClickUp has a specific hierarchy that I want to show you. So, as you can see, they have here on this page the hierarchy guide, which you can see by yourself also. But it all starts with the workspace, which is what we just created, and we called it, for example, your company name. And then inside that workspace, you can have spaces. And these spaces are these that you can see here. You can create a space. Now, let me show you. If we click Create Space, you're going to see that they say that it represents teams, departments, or groups. And then each of them has then the lists, workflows, and other things that come after. So you can see this as teams or departments for your company. As you can see here, the example, they say marketing, engineering, HR, etc. So that is what the space is for, is that you can organize them in that way. Then inside each space, you can do lists, and you can put those lists into folders. And so, as you can see here, we have this space, which we could have named, for example, marketing. Let's do it like this. And inside of it, we have the list. And this list is where you can have, you could have a CRM, you could have a to-do list for specific marketing activities. And this is where you could add multiple lists on it. And so let's say that, well, they explicitly tell you that you can use a list to either track tasks, projects, people, and etc. And so we could say that this one is, for example, let's call it YouTube content, because I'm doing this YouTube video. And then we could have another list for, let's say, lead gen. And let's say that we also want one list for LinkedIn content, and we could group these two with a folder. And so if we type, let me go here and do folder, exactly, let's call it contents. If we have a folder called content, we can then pull things into it. So you can see we pull all the YouTube and LinkedIn content. They already add also a new list to the content. We can delete it by clicking on the three dots and going into delete. So this is the hierarchy. Then, of course, inside of either the spaces or the lists, you can also include things like documents, forms, whiteboards, and other things, but I'll go over them in a bit. So this is the basic structure and hierarchy of ClickUp. Now, if we go a bit down, you can see that inside of the list, and it's not on that diagram above, inside of the list you can have tasks and subtasks, which could be nested also. But all it means is that we go here, for example, to our YouTube content list, we can see that, let's take this out, we have these tasks. So almost like a to-do list, right? And so we can say, write, I don't know how to write script. And if we click enter, this task gets created and we have a new one here, which can be research ideas, I don't know. And inside of these tasks, you could do subtasks like this. And so this could be do XYZ. You can either do it here or inside the task itself. You have here a place called subtasks, and this is where they would be. Now, the nested subtasks that they talk about is if you do another thing. If you have two tasks or more, you can put them together, and then you will have a subtask of a subtask. Yeah, that's how deep you can go. You can go 3 levels deep with ClickUp tasks, basically. But that is the base hierarchy of ClickUp. So again, you have the space, then you have the folder. You have the workspace. Inside of it, you can have multiple spaces, then folders that contain lists or any other objects, and then inside the list you can have tasks, subtasks, nested subtasks, and also you can have checklists, which are a different part here. So you can have a checklist also inside of it, and that is the structure of ClickUp, basically. And now that we learned about the structure and how to set everything up, let's go to the navigation of ClickUp itself. So this is how you navigate through ClickUp. It's very straightforward. On the left side, you have this bar. If you can see it, and it's like this, you just need to pull it a bit to the side, like this, drag it, and you're gonna see the main parts, which is the home, the inbox, and then you can add things here, but it's where you have also documents, dashboards, whiteboards, forms, clips, pulse goals, and timesheets, and you have other spaces here, which you can also add them to favorites. For example, if you want to have YouTube content as favorites, you click here, and you would have it right here. Now, this is the main part of navigation. Besides, of course, the settings that you can go here and do, like the themes and the general settings, notifications, etc. This is the navigation, the main navigation part. Now, in the home section is where you have a general overview of your workspace. You have recent tabs, you have an agenda if you have things with calendar here, and then you can, these are all the predefined, as you know, we just created these, but you have, they let you put here automatically work, tasks that are assigned to you, personal lists, comments that are assigned, and way more things. You can manage all the cards here, as you can see, and you can also move them around by just dragging and dropping them like this. After the home, we have the inbox, which is basically your notifications tab. Everything when there's mentions or to-do tasks, anything like that goes into your inbox. And then you can also, these two are pinned by default. You can also pin other ones like docs, for example, and it would appear here. Now, docs are like Notion, a bit also like Google Docs, but mainly look like Notion, where you can see them here. And then there's also dashboards, which you can connect all your data inside of ClickUp to show a dashboard. There's the whiteboards, which is, as the name says itself, a digital whiteboard. The forms, which you can create forms to then populate data inside Notion. Very, very good feature. The clips is more like Loom or Tele. You can just create clips using ClickUp. And then, well, I'm not going to go everything because I told you I don't want to go through all the advanced features of it, and I want to keep this super simple, like the pulse, goals, and timesheets are, I can do a video then going over everything, but maybe you wouldn't even use the clips, for example, maybe not even the whiteboards on this. So let's keep it simple. Besides these main ones that you can pin, you have, as I told you, the spaces where you can see everything. So you have all the spaces here, lists, spaces, folders, everything. And then you can just select each one. So as you know, we just have one for marketing, but we could have one, for example, for, let's call it operations, and then you would see it like this. So yes, let's just create with the starter one, which is just going to populate some stuff on it, and you would see it like this. So this is the main navigation and how you can do all of these parts. I'm going to go over the settings and notification settings specifically a bit after, but now that you know and have the basis of how to navigate, let's go over a different section of navigation, which is the navigation inside the lists themselves. So as you can see here, for example, on the YouTube content, we have this list, which is the base thing that you can create with like a to-do list basically, but you can have different views for it. For example, as you can see here, there's the board view where we can see basically a Kanban board of the tasks. So we have in to do, we have the complete ones, and we could do new status. Of course, this is grouped by status. You could group by whatever you want the grouping to be. Now, you don't only have these two. For the free version, you have you are a bit limited, but you have way more views. So there's the list and there's the board, which is the Kanban board, but you can also see this in calendar format. For example, let's say specifically for YouTube, you want to have, and even for all the content parts, you want to have a calendar of the content. You can do this with calendar of events, etc. And as you can see here, you can add way more things. You can even do embeddings of Google Sheets, calendar, and docs, everything that's basically with Google, even Figma. You can add an embedding here. And so, for example, if you want to have, let's say, let's say a Google Sheet with data from your YouTube channel, you could add it here by clicking on Google Sheets embedding, and then you would have a specific sheet where you could see and get a whole overview and add it here directly inside ClickUp. So that is a very, very nice thing, and that is the navigation inside the lists themselves. Now that we have all of this navigation understood, let's see how do we do everything related to tasks, because this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time inside ClickUp. So let's do this part. Now, the tasks is where you're going to spend most of your time inside ClickUp. And so this is important that you understand exactly how to move around them. So as I showed you before, if we click on a task, you're going to open this view, which is where you're going to see all the details for that specific task. And so main things to notice here, there's this first panel, which has all the basic properties of a task. So you have the status of it, the dates, you can do a start and due date, time estimate for it, you can add tags, assign to someone, set a priority, track the time that you have been spending with this specific task, and of course add relationships with this task. Besides this, you can also add a simple description, and then you can see what other fields exist. You have the custom fields, the subtasks, checklists, and attachments for this task, besides also having here on the right the activity and comments that you can do. Now, the custom fields is a very, very special one, because you may want or need to use more properties than the ones that are by default. And so, for example, let's say that we need a URL for the script. And so if we add here a custom field, we can choose first the type of this. So we can use drop downs, text, dates, numbers, labels, checkboxes, and a bunch of them. As you can see here, where you can vote, you can do ratings, and many other things. But let's just say we want just a normal text field, and we're going to call it script URL. Now we're going to create it, and as you can see here, we can start adding. Let's say it would be on Google Docs. We could use, or Notion, or any other part, but let's say you have the URL, we could add it here, for example, docs.google, and let's say you have here whatever URL it is for it. Now, you know, you would have always here this part where everyone knows that they should put the script URL here. You can then automate this also. I'm going to show you in a bit, but that's why the custom fields are important. You can add anything you would wish, and you're going to use them a lot if you have some processes that are not just dependent on having these properties, but you also need way more information attached to this. Especially if you use ClickUp for something like a CRM, you're going to need a lot more information than the ones that are here. And so you use that information inside the custom fields themselves. Let's say like the name of the person, maybe the origin from that lead, and so on. Now, of course, inside of it, as I showed you before and briefly, we have subtasks, which are literally just tasks inside tasks. So everything works the same way. You can enter into it and see all the tasks that are there. And if you want to go to the previous or main task of it, you have this little arrow up arrow here. You just click on it and you go to it. And you can add as many subtasks as you wish. And you're going to see a little progress of the whole task while each subtask is being, ticked off like this. Okay. Now, there's also checklists, which are basically, you can even consider them as to-do lists and the tasks as like tasks. And you can have, a bunch of checklists here that you need to do for each task. So that is very straightforward. And you can even assign, besides assigning the tasks, like I showed you here, you have the assignees. You can also see assignees here. You can assign also checklists of the to-do, basically, to a person inside the team. Now, the final thing is the attachments. So very straightforward. You can attach any file here. And also, we have here the comments and kind of activity part. So this is where you can leave any comment for you as a reference, or for the team. This is where you would leave everything related to this task. And also you can see basically the history of what happened with the task and when and who did it. So for example, now it says you because it's with my account, but you can see here the accounts of every single person that did something related to the task. Now, this is how tasks work. It can be as simple as you want, and it can be as complex as you want if you add a bunch of custom fields and you start, tracking everything with this. So my suggestion is keep it simple. Really, if it's the first time that you're using ClickUp, use this with the most simple ideation possible, and then you just build from there. So don't start adding a bunch of custom fields. Don't start thinking that you need to have 10 subtasks inside one task. Keep it simple. Start with the basics, and then, as I said, just build from there. And so now that we have this with the tasks, and you know how a task works, let's go to maybe some of the advanced features that you could do inside ClickUp. For some advanced, I wouldn't call it advanced, but some additional features that are important for you to know, let's start with templates. I believe you're going to really find this useful and going to use it a lot. So you can create templates for a bunch of things inside ClickUp, but the main one that you may want are tasks. And so if we go here on the three dots and you see templates, we can click on, let's say, first let me browse and show you. You can have here the template types, as you can see, for the space, folder, list, tasks, even for docs and whiteboards and things like that. But the main one that I want to focus with you now is for the tasks. So if we again go there and click save as template, we would save this specific task that we created as a template. And so we can give them a template name, like let's say scripts, YouTube scripts. And let's say that this is to share with everyone, anyone can use, and we save the template. Okay, now this would have every single time you start a task, you can start that task as a template, and then it would appear automatically with write script, with the script URL. Maybe in this case you would change the URL to maybe a folder, I don't know. It would have already all the subtasks that you want that specific writing script task to have, and all the checklists needed. And so every single time someone starts a task of write a script, all of these would be there already. Of course, you would add here all the information that needs to happen for each of the steps, but it would be everything already pre-done, and you or your team just need to come here and start ticking things off, and basically would have almost like an SOP for this specific task, which is super, super helpful. And now you can do that not only with tasks, but also with anything inside of ClickUp. So let's say that we also want, let's say a whiteboard here. You could create a template for the whiteboard, but what I want to show you is the whiteboard section itself and also maybe the documentation section. I think these are two features that you could use also instead of using other tools. Now, this is if you wish. Some people prefer still to use different tools for the docs, like still use Google Docs or use Notion separately and use different tools like Miro, Figma, and other ones for the whiteboards. But if you wish to use everything in one app like they promise, then this is the place to do it. And so very, very straightforward, just like any other doc whiteboards tool. You can do some shapes. You can connect shapes with each other. You can type whatever you want on the shapes. You can add arrows to things, and of course add sticky notes and add way more features. The good thing that's like any other digital whiteboard tool has, like Figma and Miro and others, is you can use already pre-made templates. So you don't need to create your own ones. You have, of course, the ones for the whiteboards, and for example, let's say you want to do some, let's say, is there some brainstorming thing here? Sure, let's say you want to do a business model with your team. You click on it, it automatically gets populated to whatever project you are already doing, and you can already start from it. And this is basically the super basics of whiteboards. Everyone knows how to use them, but you can use them now inside ClickUp. And as I told you, you can put them inside specific lists or folders or even spaces that they are assigned to. Now, besides that, what you can also do is the docs. And so this is very, very similar to Notion. So if you use Notion, you can already see that this is basically the same. So it's very simple if you want to move from Notion to here, but you just give a title to the doc, and then you can start writing whatever you want, and also have the same commands that you could already be used to get headings, like this is H1, and then you start typing here, and then if you want to add an attachment, you just search for image or attachment and it will appear, and so on. So very, very straightforward. You can also mention tasks. So here is where you start to see how everything connects with ClickUp and the benefits of using just one tool for all of this. Yes, there are pros and cons to using only one tool. We're not going to go there yet. This is just if you already know that you want to implement ClickUp. This is how you can do everything, but you can mention stuff here, and so you can connect things here for yourself, for your team members, and so this is very, very powerful if you do choose to do so. And so those are some of the not advanced but additional features that you would wish to do with inside ClickUp. You could do way more, as I told you. Besides the docs and the whiteboards, you can do, for example, dashboards, which is just doing grabbing the data that you already have inside ClickUp and putting them here. There are already these templates that they say, yes, you need to have the upgraded plan for it, but you can always do simple dashboards and just blank dashboards with it. It's very, very basic for some aspects. For example, as you can see here, you can see just a view of the tasks, but with custom fields for those tasks, you can start to create some more information, but you need to have the custom fields, create custom fields with numbers, for example, or with drop downs, and you can understand maybe the data from the numbers and the drop downs, and you can just edit here. Maybe what I would suggest is you just start with a blank dashboard and you go from there. And as soon as you have more and more dashboards, like any other part on ClickUp, you're going to see all of them here, and you can pin some of them for later. Like here, let me show you. You can have here, where is it? The dashboard, here it is. And you can choose to have here the dashboard also inside the list itself. And so these are those additional features that I wanted to show you. And now I want to go just briefly around the automations, because they're going to help you do some incredible things inside of ClickUp. So let's go to them. So for the automations, this will help you a lot inside ClickUp, because you can do not only the basic automations of ClickUp, but then you can connect external sources and features and programs to this. So to go into the automations, you have this button here on the upper right corner saying automate. You click on it, they will have you some suggestions from their AI. Of course, they are trying to push these AI features to everyone, but you can just click on create automation or go to manage all automations and you will see where to create it. But if we just click here, it's going to open the main section of automation. So this is where you're going to create all automations inside ClickUp. It's going to look something like this. If you want to see all the automations you have, you can click on manage. You're going to see here a list of all the ones that are active and also the ones that are inactive. And then you can do this or search for this per space, for example. Now, basics of automations. You can do them as simple as you want and of course as complex as you want. As anything, I suggest you, as always, keep it simple. So for example, it's very basic. It's when something happens, then we do some action. So let's say that when a task gets created, why not? And you can, okay, so you can select this by how the task is created. So let's say you don't want this automation to run for any task that gets created with a form, or you just want it to be for tasks that are created with forms. Well, then you select that here. But to keeping it simple, just any task that gets created, we add, for example, not a custom field, but let's say that we want to have the assignee to be a specific person. And so you immediately add that person to the assignee, or you immediately add the person that created the task to be the assignee for the task, because it's not automatically generated or automatically added. Now, of course, you can do this. You can do when a specific custom field changes. So let's look for it. Custom field changes, and then you select which field it is. We only have now the script URL that I showed you, but let's say you would have, let's create a new custom field just as an example. You have a drop down, and let's say that this drop down is something related to YouTube. I don't know. Let's say that it's a review status drop down, and we want to do, I don't know, I'm just gonna put numbers for the example, but you'd have your own examples, your own use cases, of course. Now, what we want to do is when the custom field review goes from any, so any starting point, yeah, we don't need, okay, it disappeared, to, let's say the option 2. So let's say we want specifically this to happen when there's some review aspect that you want to track. Then again, you can add whatever you want. Let's say you'd want to create an additional task based on it and apply it to yourself. So you can create a different task with a specific name, like check on XYZ, add it to whatever list you want. It could be your own personal, if it's just for you to know and remember things. Add templates if you have them created, and then you just add whatever you want on it, and you can assign yourself to it, for example. And then that's it. You can type here a description to know exactly for what this is. So, you know, this is when review goes to etc. And when you click create, this automation gets automatically created, and you can see it here. So you can change the title of the automation itself, and then you have the description there. Now, the good point that I wanted to show you is, besides these simple automations that you can do only inside ClickUp, basically, what we can do is on the action part. So let's say when whatever happens, but on the action part, we can immediately use webhooks. And so if we do webhooks, and yeah, I have to say this part is only for if you have the upgraded plan. So if you have the free one, you cannot do this. But if you do have the upgraded plan, this is an incredible way to connect different tools outside of ClickUp to this. So let's say that, and because I do a lot of automations, I use this one a lot for myself and for clients, where as you can see here, we can see it directly from here. We added the call webhook. We add a webhook, for example, let's say that it's a make.com webhook, and we want it so that every single time this specific task gets created, we send it to make, and from make we can do an automation that connects to everything that you want. So we can send it to Notion and send a message on Slack and create, well, there's infinite possibilities, but you can expand the scope of ClickUp automations by going directly into webhooks and sending them to make, for example, or any other Zapier, N8N, any other automation platform. But it's a very, very good feature to have, and if you want to expand those automations, definitely do that. And so now that I explained you a bit of these automations, I want to show you a very important aspect of ClickUp, which is managing your notifications, because by default you have a lot of them. So I'm going to show you how to manage them effectively. I wanted to briefly talk about this because it's going to save you a lot of headaches. And so if you go here to your little icon and click on notification settings, it's going to open up the notifications tab. And from here it looks like there's not a lot of stuff to work on, but the issue is that the default settings have a lot of notifications turned on by default. So if we click on custom, you're going to see here, starting to see all the notifications that are turned on. As you can see here, some of them are mandatory, but a lot of them are not. And you're going to start seeing that there are a lot of things turned on, and this is going to start bothering you at some point. Maybe in the beginning it's going to be helpful, but as you start working more and more inside ClickUp, and even if you start adding people and you have team members on it, you're going to be overwhelmed by notifications. So what I suggest you doing is come to this notifications tab and just take 5 minutes and go through every little thing and see if you actually do you need to know that an attachment was changed. Maybe you don't, right? And so take a look at this, really change everything. It will take you 5 minutes, maybe max 10 minutes, and your sanity will thank you later. Really, trust me. Do that for the inbox, do it for the email. So same thing, click on it, go to custom. You can see that it is exactly the same type of notifications, and maybe you don't want to receive them on email and you just want to receive them on the inbox. Same thing for mobile also. So click on it, see what it has, and yeah, just take a quick look at this. As I told you, it's not going to take a lot of time, but it's going to save you a lot of headaches in the future, trust me. So yeah, just wanted to keep this little thing at the end because it's going to help you a lot. Lastly but not least is if you want to start adding people to ClickUp. Remember in the beginning I told you to not add, because maybe it's best if you start setting up everything as you wish. But once you want to start adding people, it's just very simple. You go to settings, so open up here on this icon, click on settings, go to people, and then this is where you can invite everyone and also change permissions for each role that you want to add to people. So you can add them here, the email per person, and then you can select if you want them to be a member, limited members. So you can select specific things that you want them to see, guest or admin. You add them, you click invite, and this is how you're going to start inviting everyone to your workspace. So if you want to invite more people and you have everything set up, this is the last step that you'd want to do. Now, hopefully you have a good system inside ClickUp that is going to allow you to manage your business in maybe a smoother way. So thank you very much for watching until the end. I hope this was really useful to you. If you have any issues or any other questions, just comment below and I will help you out. Also, if you have any other type of videos that you want to see, like more automations, AI, and how to streamline your business operations, feel free to drop a comment and I will do more of those. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.